Cool. So we obviously just coming through Easter, we were talking about the resurrection, and I want to focus in on one thing specifically, that the resurrection changes, and that's bringing to the end us doing life in our own strength. And so, I'm going to start with, Paul writes to the Galatians. He says in 2 verse 20, "I have been crucified with Christ. It is no longer I who live, but Christ who lives within me. The life I now live in the body, I live by faith in the Son of God." And so through all of history, mankind, we've been living life by our own strength, and in many areas of life we have to. And when we were subject to the law set a standard, and we had to strive, and there were certain things we had to do, and certain things we had to avoid doing, and inevitably we didn't live up to it, and inevitably we fell short and of that kind of mark and of godliness. And then we would have to, there'd be consequences, and we'd have to bring a sacrifice. And then Jesus came, and Jesus was crucified, and he was resurrected, and he kind of fulfilled all those requirements. And so he did away with those requirements for us. And as Christians, we know that, but we still kind of sometimes live in an Old Testament mentality and an under law mentality. And not that we think that way, but we live that way, and we go, Jesus, thank you for your salvation. Thank you that you did what you did, and thank you that you've now finished, and now it's up to me to carry out this good Christian life. And maybe if I strive, maybe if I do all the right things and I tick all the right boxes, if I can become a good Christian, I can change lives, I can grow a church, I can grow a ministry, I can become a better Christian, I can maintain a relationship, and I can make it, and whatever that means. I can single-handedly kind of maintain my marriage, obviously in faith for me, that one. But that if we just work, we can make it. And so the preacher A.W. Tozer puts it this way. He says that man is a born cobbler. When he wants something to be better, he goes to work to improve it. Cattle by careful breeding, health by diet, people by education. But God will have no cobbling. He makes a man better by making him new. He imparts a higher order of life and destroys the old. And so we can work, and we can cobble, and I like that word, cobble. We can plan, and we can dream and strategize, and we can do all these things. And we can kind of fight against our nature and try to deal with that sin we have in private, and it's fine. I have it under control in my own strength, and I can just keep trying to be a better Christian. But at the end, we run out of strength. And don't get me wrong, it's not that we aren't called to achieve. You're put on this planet, and you're put on earth for a purpose. There are things you need to achieve, and there are fights that you need to fight. We are called to live holy lives because there is kingdom ground to take. But because we are finite, we are not able to do it in our own strength. And so basically what I'm saying is that before the crucifixion, before the resurrection, we weren't able to meet the mark, and we weren't able to kind of do it in our own strength. But then Jesus came, and then after the resurrection, still not able to do it in our own strength. So that didn't change. The crucifixion and the resurrection didn't change our ability to operate in our own strength. What it did bring was access to life in a personal God. And so I'm preaching to myself here. I mean, me as Bjorn, I'm not able to kind of build the kingdom or change lives or deal with my own sin, become better. I'm unable to achieve anything of significant value for an extended period of time in my own strength. And eventually I run out of capacity, like we all do. And so, this might sound like a little bit discouraging. It's like, well, you can't do it. But really, it's an encouragement. It's an invitation to unplug from your limited source, from a finite source, and plug into an infinite God. Plug into the same power that raised Christ from the grave, because that power lives within us. Losing my place here. And so, we know, and the imagery exists, and we know, we're like, trees planted by water, they bear fruit, and branches that are attached to the vine, they bear fruit. And we know if we see a branch on the side of the road, we know that's not going to bear fruit, but somehow we still go, well, maybe if I just really try really hard, even though I'm not getting in what I need to get in, I can bear fruit through just, my own will. And 2020 was a bit of a year for me where it was a bit of a year for everyone, but it was a year where I came to the end of myself, and I just had to come before God, and I think hopefully we all do go before God when we come to the end of ourselves. And I just went, God, I can't carry this, I can't do it, I can't do these things by myself. And this might shock you, but God didn't fall off his throne. He wasn't like, oh no, Bjorn can't make it, what are we going to do? Because Jesus never died to make God king. He was king before, and he was king afterwards. And so Jesus died because I couldn't do it, because the gap was too big, not for God, but the gap was too big for me, and the gap was too big for us. And so when you find yourself at that point of surrender, and you come before God, what you meet is a God that is fully aware of your weakness, and fully aware, and far more aware of your weakness than you were when you thought you were strong, and even that you're aware of when you're weak. You find a Savior whose strength is made perfect in your weakness, and whose grace is sufficient. And you realize that there is only one life that sustains us. So in ending, I want to pray that God will bless you, and that God will lead you, and that as you learn to rest, as we all learn to rest in God, that he would use you in resting in him to do mighty things according to his plan.